Hi, this video is going to walk you through how to write a thesis statement. If you have some barriers in your head between you and the word thesis statement, if I say that and you go, ugh, watch this video. I'm hoping by the end it'll make perfectly good sense of what a thesis statement actually is and why they're important. So let's take a look at the definition, first off, of what a thesis statement is. I'm going to minimize myself. I'm down here. All right, so what and why are thesis statements? The definition is, a thesis statement is a short statement, usually one sentence, that sums up the main point or claim of an essay, a research paper, etc., and is developed, supported, and explained in the text by means of examples and evidence. It's a long sentence, let's break it down. First off, it's a short statement. Your thesis statement does not contain all of the things you're going to say in your essay. It's just one statement that basically sums up your essay, right? It's usually one sentence, doesn't have to be. It can be a couple of sentences, but it summarizes the main point or claim of your essay. All essays need a central point or claim. Without one, if you just have a topic, then your essay will meander around and won't have a focus. So your thesis statement helps focus, and it tells your reader what's coming. And it's developed, supported, and explained in the actual text. That's the point. So the thesis statement shows up at the end of the introduction paragraph and then tells the reader, here's what's coming in this essay. So let's look at an example here. So in this one, this is an introduction paragraph from a real essay that a student turned in. She writes, according to the Center for Disease Control, about 3.6 million people in the United States have type 2 diabetes. Diabetes is a life-altering diagnosis that can affect all functions of the body. New cases of diabetes steadily increase, but prevention can be adopted to stunt the growth of this global health issue. Regular physical activity, eliminating sugar and carbohydrates, and losing weight, if a person is obese, are ways to prevent type 2 diabetes from developing. So I have this, let's color it. Here we go. So the hook, so this part here is called the hook. It's to catch your attention. So she has an interesting statistic that wow, 32.6 million people, just in the United States, have diabetes. That should catch your attention, hopefully. Then she gives you some background information here in cyan, telling you what you need to know for her essay to make sense, for the thesis statement really to make sense. And then she finally hits the thesis statement, and she names 3 things. This is what the essay is going to cover, and I expect it to cover them in this order. Regular physical activity, eliminating sugar and carbohydrates, and losing weight are ways to prevent type 2 diabetes. So there we go. That's what I'd expect your essay to follow. Let's look at another example. This concept of how to write a thesis statement isn't just for your essays in class. This is the introduction paragraph for an academic essay that I wrote that I got published. So it works the exact same way. It's a lot longer. You see all these words. We don't need to read the whole thing. You just need to know there is a hook. I have a cool quote, the hook. I have background information in cyan, and then we have my thesis statement. Now this essay was 24 pages long, so it's not going to be a 3-point thesis. It's going to have more. So let's look at what it has. 21st century werewolves are different from werewolves of the past. That's my central claim. Werewolves today are different than they used to be, in that they are the heroes of their stories. They're not a curse. They provide them a strong tie to the natural world. There's an intimate link to a pack, and they are sexy. Those are my 5 points. This is an essay I wrote, and I got published. So you could do the same thing. This that we're talking about in class right now, how to write this thesis statement, how to write an essay, you can take as far as you want, right? You can write articles and get published too. Anybody can. So you don't have to, no stress. But I want you to know that this isn't just for only English class. Okay, so let's look at some specific examples for informative thesis statements. So here we go. Wolves. I like wolves. Wolves are animals that have many misconceptions about, such as their packs having an alpha, mating for life, and being dangerous to humans, right? So here we have an arguable central claim, which is important. You want it to be something that people could disagree with you about. So wolves are animals that we have many misconceptions about. Somebody out there is like, no, we understand wolves. We're fine. Somebody out there hates wolves, doesn't even want to talk about this. So I think this is arguable. For your thesis statements, for your essays for class, if they're not arguable, we'll talk about it and I'll fix it and we'll figure it out. But make sure that you aren't simply claiming something that is true, right? You don't want to be stating what's called a truism. You don't want to be saying, wolves exist. Nobody's saying they don't. What you want to say is something about them, right? Like if your essay was about wolves, wolves are endangered. I think most people would agree with that, but there are probably some who wouldn't, right? So you could say wolves are a menace, if that's how you feel about it. You could be saying wolves are one of the most interesting creatures. Wolves need more study. There's a lot of ways to go about this that don't go persuasive, but that stay in the informative area. And the main difference between informative and persuasive essays is not the thesis statement, it's what follows, the actual essay. Does your essay sound persuasive or informative? But You can lean into that informative kind of language here in your thesis statement. I'm going to minimize myself again. So look at this next one. Drinking tea rather than other caffeinated drinks on a regular basis is beneficial because it can greatly improve a person's metabolic functions. It prevents cardiovascular disease and is highly associated with mental health and other curative properties. So here we go. Central claim is drinking tea on a regular basis is beneficial, right? So I put this part different because it's not really necessary for you to understand the actual central claim. Drinking tea on a regular basis is beneficial. Central claim, very strong. So I like that she added this rather than other caffeinated drinks. It adds more. It makes it more focused. You want your thesis to be as focused as you can without boxing yourself into a corner. So she didn't box herself in a corner. I think that she did a pretty good job here. And this last one here, there are traditionally 3 genders recognized in Japan: men, women, and wakashu. Men's kind of getting cut off by my picture there. But this is a really simple example, right? The central claim is there are traditionally 3 genders recognized in Japan. Some people would argue there are not. And then I just list them: men, women, and wakashu. I would imagine in this essay, the next paragraph would be about men, but it would be about how men are viewed as a gender in Japan. This next second paragraph, or the third paragraph, would be about how women are viewed as a gender traditionally in Japan. And then fourth paragraph would be about how wakashu is a gender traditionally viewed in Japan and what that means. And then you'd wrap it all up. So hopefully that makes sense. Persuasive thesis statements are a little different. Let's look at some of those. So for this one, governments should prioritize climate change adaptation since global warming cannot be reversed. So we have strong persuasive language, right? You're saying should. It should happen. That's the difference between a persuasive and an informative thesis statement. It also takes a debatable stand. Some people do not believe this. Some people say the government shouldn't be prioritizing this. They should be prioritizing something else, right? Especially these days. You never know what people would argue with when it comes to this stuff. Pardon me. And then this next one, as physical libraries become obsolete due to digital devices, the government should fund digital libraries instead of physical ones. So again, we see the word should. It's taking a strong stance. This one, high school graduates should be required to take a year off to pursue community service projects before entering college. Again, the word should. Persuasive essays sound persuasive. Informative essays should sound like you're trying to teach your audience. That said, most informative essays still have a degree of persuasion involved. It's just how it works. Because even imagine I write an entire, if this lesson were an essay, I would call it an informative essay because I'm informing you how to write a thesis statement. But at the same time, I'm using a lot of persuasive techniques to try and convince you to use the thesis statements at all and how to use them. So in the same way, your informative essay might be informative and be informative in nature, sound informative, but there will be times, because you're still making a central claim argument, there's still times where it'll sound a bit persuasive, and that's okay. Don't stress about that. That's fine. That's how it works. The main point is, what's your main point? What's your goal? And if your goal is to inform, then you stay with that tone throughout your essay, that's probably informative. If your goal is to persuade, then it should sound exactly like that, right? So going back to my PowerPoint here, in a nutshell, thesis statements are a short statement, summarize the main point or claim, and then is developed, supported, and explained in the text. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's look at some more. I have another example to show you. All right, in this example, I made a very simple thesis statement here at the top. Dogs make the best pets because they're loyal, hardworking, and fun. I did use the word best, so it sounds like this could be persuasive, but it all depends on what I write, how I write it. If you read this essay, it's not very long, it's very much informative, explaining about why dogs are awesome pets. So that's okay. Let's break it down though. First, let's look at here. Right here is the thesis statement. Though humans have a wide array of animals to choose as pets, dogs make the best pets because they are loyal, hardworking, and fun. And then you see how it's broken down within the essay. This first part here, though humans have a wide array of animals to choose from as pets, that's all just fun. The real statement is dogs make the best pets because they are loyal, hardworking, and fun. So let's break that part down. Loyal. Next paragraph, right? Hardworking becomes the third paragraph. Fun becomes the fourth paragraph. And then we have a fifth paragraph to wrap it all up. So you see, there's also section headings, which we might not have talked about yet, but let's look at them. Here we have, in APA format, there's always section headings. This essay that you're writing for this class, you might see it's here and there referred to as a 5-paragraph essay. That's not exactly true. It's a 5-section essay. What I mean by that is, this essay has 5 sections, right? So there's one section, you can see by the section headings. So the title makes one section heading for the intro. Then here's another heading. This is also a heading. This is a heading. And this is the concluding heading. So there's 5 headings, although the first one's always just the title. It's never a different heading. But the rest of them, you get to choose what to write, and there's some art there. You should write something interesting, but something that tells the reader what that section's about. So now that you've talked about that, you can see, if you line them up, loyal. I like writing my headings to have something fun about them, like alliteration. So I have loyalty from love, hardworking hounds, and play. So those are my headings. Your headings should tell the reader what's coming and what's there, but they shouldn't be a full sentence. It should be just a phrase at most. And the more interesting it is to catch readers' attention, the better. But I also want to point out, the reason I made a point about this not being a 5-paragraph essay is this: in this example, you see the 5 sections, but there are 2 paragraphs in this section. Did you notice that? And that's fine. Your essay, I want to have 5 sections, but it could be as many paragraphs as you want, as long as it fits within this 2-page limit. Remember that. Your essays in this class have 2 pages of body as their max, which can be hard to do. It's a lot of work to cut that down, so talk to me if you need help, but that's kind of the goal, is to be succinct. So I think I have one more essay to show you, an example from, let me see if I can skip through this. Boom, here we are. Here's another example. Tea, the healthiest caffeinated drink. So let's look at where the thesis statement is. This is a real essay that a student turned in for class, by the way. Drinking tea rather than other caffeinated drinks on a regular basis is beneficial because it can greatly improve a person's metabolic functions. It prevents cardiovascular disease and is highly associated with mental health and other curative properties. It's a great thesis statement. So let's break it down. Boom. First, we see the first thing. So the central claim, what's this? Actually, didn't underline the central claim. So what's the central claim? Is that drinking tea on a regular basis is beneficial. This was the example from an earlier slide, if you don't remember. But yeah, drinking tea on a regular basis is beneficial. That's her central claim. Somebody might argue against that. Somebody might be saying, no, you should never drink tea. It's always bad, right? So her first reason is because of metabolism. And you can see, because it has greatly improved a person's metabolic function, improve metabolism. Second point, it prevents cardiovascular disease. She just chooses the exact same phrase, prevents, and that's great. You can always use the exact same language from your thesis statement as your headings. That's not a problem. And the third one, mental health benefits. So what is it? It is highly associated with mental health and other curative properties. Mental health benefits. Perfect. So this essay has a clear thesis statement. I can see how it flows. It flows in the right order. It flows really naturally. Perfect. This is a great essay. This essay got an A. So if you want an A, this is a good one. Do stuff like this. Hopefully this makes sense to you. So there's my explanation of thesis statements and how they work with your essay. This week you have on the discussion board, you have essay thesis statement practice. So go ahead and work on that. The point of it being on the discussion board is so you can see other people's work and you can get ideas. If you see somebody else writing a thesis statement in a way that you're like, oh, I didn't ever think of maybe flipping it around and listing the things first, sure. Steal it. Anything you see on the discussion board as we talk about this stuff, you can take for your essay. Apply it to yours. That's the point. This is taking the place of class time, so you can see what each other are doing and talk about stuff. You can might also see some topics that you might not have thought of. So, if you want help beyond this, please let me know. We can have a meeting, and I can have a Zoom call, and we can discuss this, and it'll be great. So let me know. Otherwise, I'll see your stuff on the discussion board. And good luck.